You see, they want us to give them more power. A few days ago, Donald Pigott said, today, deny that because Stuart Young, this octopus minister, has his tentacles in HDC. They were corruptly doing audits with PricewaterhouseCoopers. He cannot answer that. He has his tentacles in PTSE. The police is investigating a matter where he directed PTSE of which contractors to pay and who not to pay. He has his tentacles in the EMBDC. And brothers and sisters, a former minister, a colleague of ours, a dynamic fighter, Devant Maharaj, you know him. Devant Maharaj filed a Freedom of Information request to the EMBDC. You see, the EMBDC, directed by Stuart Young, the EMBDC, directed by Stuart Young, went to court. They fabricate a court case at Balize House, and they go into court. And in the court documents, they say PricewaterhouseCoopers did a study of contract administration at EMBDC. So Devant Maharaj asks, could we get these documents of the EMBDC under Freedom of Information? In a letter dated 8 December 2017, from the EMBDC, one Ricardo O'Brien, Chief Executive Officer acting, you know what he tell Devan Maraj? He say, what you asking for, contract administration for 2016, 17, 2015, 2016, please be advised that EMBDC is not aware of the existence of the required documents, and no such documents are in our possession, custody, or power of the EMBDC. So what documents did they fabricate to take to court if the EMBDC say they have no record of these things? This is a very serious matter that speaks to misbehavior in public office and perverting the course of justice. If you fabricate and lie and take matters to the court, even the civil court, you have misbehaved in public. Tonight, Stuart Young has some questions to answer, but it didn't stop here. Brothers and sisters, in that same matter in Parliament today, did you hear Wade Mark? Wade Mark told us something. We have in our possession here another letter. This is an email. This is an email from balizehouse@gmail.com. Now I only know one Balize house. I don't know if it have two in the country. This country is so blight that it could have two Balize house. It had to be one. Balize House in a letter to Heather Joseph at efcl.co.tt. Balize House writing Heather Joseph. Please, as requested, see list of contractors for EFCL. And they're giving from Balize House a list of contractors. Now this looking like this for the anti-gang as well. This looking like anti-gang business as well. A list of contractors from Balize House to EFCL for your attention. What is Balize House doing? Supplying contractors, Orion Engineering, Precision Agencies, Central Wholesale Stores, A.N.N. Z General Contractors, XP Engineering, Rivulet Investment Group, Fiscal Services, and they have the names and number. Mr. Pigott today dealt with this. So they accuse us. They accuse us of wrongdoing when they are committing the very wrongdoing that they are accusing us of. Tonight, brothers and sisters, that scandal will not go away. We will take it further. They are trying to deflect attention from their own wrongs. The EFCL today is a den of iniquity. It is a bed of corruption. And Arnold Pigott today busts the mark on them in Parliament, and you will follow that story. But brothers and sisters, it doesn't end here. Today, one matter again I want to raise with you. Last week, they answered a question in Parliament. I had asked in Parliament a question concerning the paving of a road in Barakpur. Some of you may not know, but there's a trace called Saunders Trace from Maruga Road to Guayari. Some of you may not know that because it's not a place that just drive all around. It's in the rural areas. And I asked the question, who paved that? What was the cost of paving that? And was that for use by A&V Oil and Gas Limited? Last week, they answered the question in Parliament. You know what they answered, say? They went on the public record and said that the lands surrounding Saunders Trace is a 20-acre agro-processing facility. They have agro-processing facility down there. Ministry of Trade and Industry, they're developing. Now all I know we have down there is teak wood. And it had teak wood there 100 years from now, had teak wood down there. And that's hardwood. It had down there. It didn't have nothing down there. If you go down there, you have to carry flashlight, hard boots and hat and things. It had nothing down there. So they said they're developing industrial estate, and the road is to be used by British Gas, APL or API, Farm Exploration, Well Services, Trinity, and here the last one, A&V Oil and Gas Limited. My brothers and sisters, today I sent people myself down on Saunders Road. I said, boy, tell me what it have down there. You know what they pave? They pave road for the exclusive use of A&V drilling. Nobody else operating down there. British Gas, the road where it's located, British Gas nowhere wrong. It has nothing there. And brothers and sisters, that I am inviting the media to do a tour and expose this. I think our political leader has arrived for her first visit to the historic Paragon Indoor Sporting Center. Let us rise to welcome the next Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the opposition leader and Member of Parliament for Siparia, the Honorable Kamla.
For
Let's hear it once again, a round of applause for the political leader, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa and Dr. Gregory Bisesa. So brothers and sisters, I ask the media to go down to Saunders Trace and tell us if British Gas and API and Well Services using Saunders Trace, or if that was not paved at the cost of $10 million. $10 million for the exclusive use of A&V Oil and Gas Limited. $10 million. And British Gas is a multinational. They must abide by international transparency laws and regulations. Tonight I call upon British Gas to indicate whether that road that was paved can be used by that company for any purpose whatsoever. So brothers and sisters, the government is on the back foot. The government is on the back foot. They are clinging on now by their nails. They are clinging on. And I want to assure you that Kamla Prasad Bisesa has a nail clipper. So it is a matter of time before they fall off the cliff. Before I close, just to remind you, brothers and sisters, this is one of the most corrupt government we have faced in life. I want to tell Alwari tonight, Faris Alwari, he talking in the papers and this morning on TV, he's saying the opposition members didn't pass anti-gang because they might be afraid money laundering and so on. I want to tell Alwari tonight, the oil is fake, but the money is not fake. The oil is fake, but the money is not fake. Tonight, Alwari, follow the $80 million, and I am putting it to you. I will give you a teaser. If you follow that money, you will follow $47 million moving from one contractor to another contractor in South, and piece of that ending up in the bank account of a government minister. $47 million. More to come, but that bacchanal is for around Carnival. That is when Carnival is bacchanal. We will come with that. And if I tell you who is that government minister, all you will do is you will smile and you will get a heart attack if I tell you that one. So brothers and sisters, they have a lot of questions to answer on the fake oil and following the money. You start to smile already, but don't get a heart attack. So brothers and sisters, they have to answer on that. Clarence Rambarat, last week in Parliament, admitted that he took a housing allowance when he was not entitled to it. He said he give it back. So he take money unlawfully and then return it. You are still guilty of theft. That is an unlawful act. Randall Mitchell, all of them falling down like a pack of cards. I stood up in Parliament. I asked Randall Mitchell if he has knowledge of the person who received the most expensive penthouse at Victoria Keys. Rudy and Tim was there. $4 million. I said, if you do not tell us that person's identity, I will tell you. And tonight, up to this point, Randall Mitchell spoke for 45 minutes. He could not tell us that he did not know that person. But he has knowledge of that person. And Randall Mitchell must tell us where a man of medium to low means will get $4 million to purchase a penthouse apartment when Mitchell has knowledge of who that person is. So brothers and sisters, much more to be said, but we have other dynamic speakers and the leader to come on. So tonight, thank you for coming out in your numbers. I want to take the opportunity, notwithstanding the very darkest hour that this country faces, to wish you a very safe season for Christmas. And next year will be a UNC year. We will struggle and we will fight them until we get them out of office once and for all. Long live our great party. Long live our leader. Forward ever, backward never. Thank you.
Let's hear it again for dynamic MP Rudal Munilal. Now he throw some stones and he ain't call no foul. But we will see that the chickens will be coming home to roost for this wicked, incompetent, don't know nothing, Keith Rowley PNM government. I want again to recognize the presence of our political leader, the next Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa. The place is waxing warm. This Dr. Rowley and the rake and scrape government scraping the bottom of the barrel to get the tax out of you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago. But don't worry, we are ready for them. You have seen tonight by our barrage of speakers that the United National Congress is the only national party of Trinidad and Tobago. The PNM will be going back into opposition where they belong, and they will remain there as long as we are united. We are UNC and we are proud. The next speaker coming to you is a dynamic woman. She was a Minister of Transport in the Pandey cabinet, a strong and determined leader in her own right. She led the housing drive alongside MP Munilal in the People's Partnership Government, delivering more than 7,000 houses to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, a feat that this PNM government cannot even claim to be near, and they will never reach it because they have not built a single house. She will deliver the East-West corridor for the United National Congress, and she's the newly appointed deputy political leader of the United National Congress. Please, UNC family, join me in welcoming on stage, welcoming to deliver to you, Miss Jolene John.
Thank you, Chairman Obika. Thank you so much for your kind welcome. Honorable political leader, honorable members of parliament, brothers and sisters, I want to thank all of these fiery speakers who went before me. They dropped all the bombs. All right, there are no more bombs to drop here tonight. I mean, the place is so hot, we need to cool it down. Thank you. Senator Mark was outstanding today in his contribution before the Joint Select Committee. We need to give him a round of applause. He was devastating. On Friday of last week, he called the PNM dead man walking. And it's the first time I see somebody insult people and call him a dead man. And not a, I mean, it was like a dance macabre. It was as if you were performing their last rites. I'd never seen anything like that. But today again, he got up to the plate, and while they were reviewing the business of EFCL, he was again very outstanding, and MP Rudal Munilal spoke about that. Last week, you would have noted that the leader of the opposition and other MPs had to stand in the gap for Trinidad and Tobago when the government laid and debated the anti-gang bill of 2017. Now, we have great attorneys here. I'm not an attorney, and I heard the speakers who came before me, I was listening to it. They explained the merits and demerits of the bill. In fact, the speaker who will come after me is a senior counsel, and I think sometimes we don't quite appreciate that this senior counsel graduated at the top of a class in law school. This is a rare lawyer. This is not a bush lawyer, right? This is not a bush lawyer. This is not bush lawyers playing the pool, running up and down and playing the pool with all kind of pocket square and flowers in the lapel and all kind of foolishness. You understand? Look at a good lawyer. So just in case, I mean, you want to be convinced, I mean, she's coming to expand. And of course, my good lawyer is also here, Senator Ramdeen. Now, I'm in management by training and practice, and in December of 2015, myself and 8 other managers were suspended, ostensibly for the board to conduct a forensic audit, and they needed us out of the way. In March of 2018, the 8 managers, myself included, well, I, in fact, was fired for my tone. Now, find somebody for their tone is firing them without cause and due process. It cannot stand in principle, policy, or law. What is surprising is that in May of 2016, the attorneys of a prominent law firm who the HCC had engaged, they can't build a house, but they engage in lawyers had a gentleman inside of Petrotrin whilst they carried on one audit. The same gentleman sat there undisturbed when they carried out a second audit. And as far as I read in the newspaper, that gentleman is still there. So tonight I'm putting my very talented attorney on notice that we had to file a motion for discrimination. Because, I mean to say, how you could send me home whilst you're proposing to find something, and you have a man, you have found something, not once, not twice, but you have him sitting there. Up to Friday, he was still there. You see, this demonstrates how the government could suddenly discover the concept of due process when it is their friends they need to protect. But if they don't like you, then they will collude with accounting firms, as MP Munilal just said, to scandalize your name, etc. Now, our political leader was well within her rights when in her reading of the bill, knowing how dangerous and manipulative this government and wicked this government is, to put a stop to it. What it is or why it is this government want to break and enter into people's house legally. What it is they want to see. Do you think the government see the citizens of Beetham as being worthy of their due process? The people of Sealots, Laventil, you think they care about you? The people of Tobago? Where is the due process in all of this? But they're touting due process for their friends, because I think when the mark the bus further, this vehicle has to get bigger and bigger. So it has no due process for you. For you, they want unfettered access to the Terrorism Act, Sedition Act, to lock up people for 120 days without bail or this great due process. Yes, we agree that we do not feel safe in our homes or in the street. But if according to the Attorney General, they are saying they have 2,459 gang members. They know where they live. They know if they're coming down by the junction here to eat doubles. Now, if these gang members, as they say, are committing crimes, why haven't they locked them up consequent to the laws that are already on the books? I mean, murder is a crime. It was a crime 10 years ago. It was a crime 20 years ago, and we were persecuting people for murder. I'm saying we need good laws, as our political leaders say, on the book. Not laws that you could use sleight of hands to persecute people. Because we have seen these people, and as Senator Ramdeen said last week Friday, when they show you who they are, believe them the first time. And these people have shown us who they are. They like to persecute people, they are manipulative, and they are corrupt. And we ought not to give them additional tools to persecute the people of Trinidad and Tobago. It is just dead wrong. Locking up someone for 120 days without bail is suppression. And it does not solve anything, because when they come back out, the situation is still there. As President Obama said, the best time to stop crime is before it even starts. If we make investments early in our children, we will reduce the need to incarcerate these kids. Now, we know how much money the People's Partnership government invested in early childhood. Now they have stopped that program, haven't they, Dr. Gopi Singh? They have stopped the program, and that is the time when children are at their formative years, when we teach them good manners and civility and how to love their neighbors as themselves. They have taken that program away. So when you take away all these safety nets, all these programs that are going to help the least amongst us, as it was, the anti-gang bill will not magically take the place of a good preschool. We have to continue to build trust between law enforcement and the communities. Justice is not just only the absence of oppression, it is the presence of opportunity. Justice is giving every child a shot at a great education, no matter what address they were born into. Justice is giving everybody willing to work hard the chance at a good job with good wages, no matter what their name is. Whether it's John or Diokisin, you understand? Whatever their skin color or wherever they live. Now I want to wrap up, I think I only have seconds here, by telling you, yes, I know it's time. So, the problems we have are so deeply ingrained, and hopelessness is really leading to desperation. And as I said before, we are not romanticizing this crime and this gang and so on. It is a pest, and we really need to get rid of it. So we know we live in a society where your worth is measured by what you have, and a lot of our folks have nothing. For those living in neighborhoods racked by violence, when you are nothing, you have nothing to lose. and they have decided that they are going to find something. Ladies and gentlemen, the next speaker who will be introduced, I am sure will tell us how we are going to find our way out of this morass that this government has placed us in. I really want to thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause for Ms. Jerlene John. Brothers and sisters, 5 years ago, the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa led the best government this country has ever seen. She led a government for every person in this country. She led a government that gave rise and meaning to the saying, every creed and race find an equal place. But what Kamala Prasad Bisesa did, she gave young people opportunity. She gave young people a chance in politics. And tonight you will hear from one of those young people who are leading the charge in politics. You'll hear from one of the most brilliant debaters in Parliament. Let's welcome the firebrand MP for Princess Town, Mr. Barry Padarat.
Good evening, my brothers and sisters of the United National Congress. The Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa, our political leader, best Prime Minister, leader of the opposition, and soon to be Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago again, my parliamentary colleagues, members of the National Executive, brothers and sisters, we soon approach Christmas. Christmas is known to be a very joyous time, but there's very little to celebrate and be joyous about under this Rowley-led administration. But you, the UNC members, have given us something to celebrate. They say there's always a silver lining. Just a few weeks ago, with over 20,000 votes, Kamala Prasad Bisesa was returned as the political leader of the United National Congress. My brothers and sisters, that mandate that you have given to our political leader has never before in the history of Trinidad and Tobago been achieved by any other political party. Tonight, I ask you to give in your numbers a sound warning to the People's National Movement that Kamala Prasad Bisesa is alive. The UNC is alive and we are roaring and we are kicking. My brothers and sisters, just a few days ago, our political leader traveled to the Bahamas. She received the Woman of Distinction Award, which is an international award given to women who have pioneered in the field of politics, in the spheres of community service, law. And our little twin island republic, you know, I often marvel when people see our political leader in person. They always say this little lady, but this little lady who has given us so much and continues to give not only the women and girls of Trinidad and Tobago, but all our people so much to be hopeful about. Right now you are seeing these photographs on your screens of that award ceremony. My brothers and sisters, while we in the UNC have given to this country Kamala Prasad Bisesa's award, something to celebrate, we have a Prime Minister who is politically impotent, a man who does nothing, a man who fights for nothing, a man who stands for nothing. You have an Attorney General who's politically constipated, who tells you, hold on, hold on, hold on, it coming. That is called, Dr. Munilal, political constipation. But I know Dr. Munilal has a prescription for that. Because when he talks about follow the money, we must follow the $80 million. We must follow the $2 million in the ply board. My brothers and sisters, something troubled me very much recently in the Parliament, and Dr. Munilal spoke about it. The comment that Dial Singh made was that we built that children's hospital, and his exact words was for all your people. All you build that hospital for all your people. I always count myself very lucky to have worked along Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar when she was Prime Minister. And I can tell you, the first child that was helped under the Children's Life Fund, under Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar, was signed off at 10:30 in the night. And that child did not come from Couva. That child did not come from Penal. That child came from the Beatum. But Kamala Persad-Bissessar does not see black. She does not see white. She does not see red. She does not see African. She does not see Indian. She does not see Chinese. She sees every creed and race has an equal place in Trinidad and Tobago. My brothers and sisters, I want to leave you with a story before I bring on our honorable political leader, of a 10-year-old boy who wanted nothing more than a bicycle for Christmas. And many of you parents, you know, when you want your children to do very well, you will promise them the sun, the moon, and the stars. But this child was a bright little child. He always came first in test. But he came from a broken home. His mommy worked for $150 a week. And that child came first in test. But on Christmas morning, when he opened the gift, it was not the bicycle he was expecting. It was a little vest with a bicycle on it. That child got the opportunity to go to a secondary school built by Kamala Persad-Bissessar because she knew the value of education. That child then went to university. Because of Kamala Persad-Bissessar, we had dollar for dollar. Today, that child stands in front of you as a member of parliament for Princess Town. My brothers and sisters, I tell you that story because in all of the darkness, in all of the despair, this Christmas, let Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC be your ember, your light of hope. That is what she represents to us, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, but more so the young people who will have to stand on your shoulders and take this country forward. Tonight, that is why I support Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the United National Congress. It is with great honor, pride, and pleasure to introduce to you the woman who has given this country so much, and to the young people of Trinidad and Tobago, and who will carry the mantle forward as we take back Trinidad and Tobago, our political.
UNC friends, UNC supporters, UNC family, good evening to all of you. I don't believe that it was only on Friday, late Friday in fact, that we decided that we'd have our meeting here tonight. And in 2 days, look at the UNC people. Thank you for coming out, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing with us tonight. And it is very, very important for us to meet and have this conversation. And that's why we dubbed this meeting, Let Us Talk Now. Because we have a government of spin doctors led by the biggest spin doctor Rowley. And so we felt tonight we should share with you what has been happening, not just with the anti-gang bill, but with other matters that this government has been engaged in. Barry gave you that story. I almost cried. I didn't realize he was talking about himself. But I knew there were many, many children in our country. When Christmas comes, such a holy, blessed time of the year, that not every family can give to those children who wait for Santa. And that is why, for every year I was in government, I held toy drives across the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago. Now we have Spin Dr. Rowley and Scrooge, who will give nothing to anyone, but who will rake and scrape every last cent they can find from people in this country. You know, I went to the Bahamas, Barry, shared with you, a wonderful experience. I was very honored on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago to collect that award. And whilst we were there, I'm in the car, driver driving. I said, you know, in Trinidad, we have parang, we have soca, we have chutney, yeah, soca, tassa, we have all kinds of music of Trinidad and Tobago. What is the music here in the Bahamas? What type of music is your favorite? And the driver told us, he says, rake and scrape. That's their music. I said, you know what? That reminds me of the government in Trinidad and Tobago, because they're raking and scraping with every tax, anytime they could, to rake and scrape from you. So let's talk now. Let us talk now. I saw the Honorable Prime Minister, Spin Dr. Rowley, in the Parliament last day, giving something called a personal explanation. Now, if you know the Parliament standing orders, as the Speaker should know, when Rowley was reading his personal explanation, I saw MP Munilal, MP Gopi Singh, several of the MPs, they were objecting, because a personal explanation is something personal to you, and you must not raise any controversial matter. But this Spin Dr. Rowley, giving his personal explanation, and all I could say to him is stop being a crybaby. He was crying, weeping and wailing and gnashing his teeth that the leader of the opposition, other members of the opposition, that we were assassinating his character. I said, good Lord, look where we reach. Dr. Rowley, Spin Dr. Rowley, you do not need my help or the help of the opposition to assassinate your character. You're doing a good job all by yourself. All by yourself. And you will remember in the years we were in office, character assassination of the worst kind. They used to drag a mannequin all over the streets. You all remember that? Let us not forget, you know. I must admit it was a good-looking mannequin, by the way, so halfway. And this is a man, this is a Spin Dr. Rowley. Every time he speaks, insults someone, assassinates the character of others, and he come to cry like a little baby because we were standing up for what was right with respect to the anti-gang bill, says we assassinating character. A big crybaby in the Parliament last day. And you will remember this is the Prime Minister, the Spin Doctor, who he tells women, he goes to a conference and he tells them, peel cassava. You remember that? This is a man stands up on a stage and says, I want my money, I want my money. Do you all remember that? But telling everybody else what? Tighten your belt and hold straight. This is a Spin Doctor. This is a Spin Doctor who says some things I am afraid I will not want to even repeat here tonight. But you know those words that he uses. This is a Spin Doctor when I raised the fake oil matter. He said we were engaged in what? Geometry. Do you remember that? And now it turns out we were right, we were justified. As Rudy just told me, it is not the oil that is fake. Is that what you told me? The oil was real. The oil was fake. the money that they've found from it and taken from it is real money. This is a man who tells you choose your woman wisely, I'm not in your bedroom and so on. And this is a man who goes on national TV and this is what he says about a golf course when he was asked to explain about a golf course. Can we run the video, please? Can we get the video? Okay, hold straight. It's coming.
We will not cooperate with the government of Trinidad and Tobago on any matter. We will isolate them for as long as they're in office until they leave office. We will isolate them, we will isolate them, we will isolate them. We will not cooperate with the government of Trinidad and Tobago on any matter. We will isolate them for as long as they're in office until they leave office.
Okay, it's the wrong video, but it's the right message. When that man was in opposition, he said they will isolate us, they will not cooperate with us to pass any law in the parliament. Today, weeping, wailing, gnashing teeth all over. Blame Kamala, blame the opposition, blame the UNC because of the anti-gang bill. But spin Dr. Rowley, we will expose you tonight. And I'll ask you if you find the right video this time. Keith Rowley lies again. Remember I told you I was looking for it. I told you and I'd shown you the video where this man lied about 27 times in 5 minutes. Well, here the lies again on the anti-gang bill. This is video number 1. Rowley lies again. Okay, our technical people are having some glitches. Every word. You know what? Just play any of the videos.
Let me show you.
Okay, here we go. Because as you say, he lies every time, so. All right, fast forward.
What surprised the leader of the opposition was that there was not a single impediment standing in the way of voting for the bill.
Member for Chinese.
Madam Chair, we heard the Prime Minister. I mean, we understand the case that he is making and that he is arguing. But we really feel that the measurement and accountability factor are very important in this matter. This is literally a question of life and death related to this legislation, and the question for whom is legitimate, because if it does not work, it is the cost of innocent citizens' lives. And we need that accountability, and we need that time limit to allow the accountability factor to come to this parliament. Because if the government at that time, at a time within a shorter period, we are suggesting 2 years, if the government comes and says, look, this is the situation and we need more time, they would have to account with the statistics. And if the government comes and it has not worked,
Doing that. What surprised the leader of the opposition was that there was not a single impediment standing in the way of voting for the bill.
The statistics will in fact reveal what the situation is, and the Parliament will act on precedent.
So, I think what I will do now is put the opposition's amendment as further amended. The question is that new clause 19 as circulated by the opposition as amended be added to the bill. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. I think the noes have it.
What surprised the leader of the opposition was that there was not a single impediment standing in the way of voting for the bill. Because every objection they raised, we gave it.
He's a liar, liar. He's a liar, liar. No, you can trust him. No, 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 no.
Okay, so does that sound like a government who gave us everything in that debate? I prefer not to speak it, but to show you the video from the Parliament so you could see for yourself and hear for yourself. When we put forward the recommendation for 2-year sunset clause, Prime Minister said, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Did you hear him? Did you hear him?
Let me draw you
Okay, I'm not doing that. And then he says after 1 in the morning, put it to the vote, put it to the vote. I want to ask the Prime Minister tonight, Spin Dr. Rowley, I want to ask him, why did you vote against the 2-year sunset clause? Why? If this bill you say is so important, why did you vote against your own bill? Why did you sabotage your own bill? Why did you scuttle your own bill by voting against the recommendation for 2-year sunset clause? And we needed that. We needed it because we could not allow this government the draconian powers and the potential for abuse of that law for any longer period of time. And there you see it, there you hear it for yourself. But that's not all. Can you run the second video? 3 strikes and you are out.
Before we got to the Parliament, the opposition was indicating through the media that they didn't intend to support the legislation. I called the opposition chief whip behind the speaker's chair and I asked Mr. David Lee, what are the impediments standing in the way of your team that would cause you not to support this legislation? He said, 1, the law must not apply to the crime of sedition. I said, okay, so what else? He said, we want a sunset clause. A sunset clause meaning that the law will remain in force for a specific period of time, and at the end of that time, the law will cease to be in force unless the Parliament intervenes and extends it.
David Lee writes, that is totally not true.
A new argument arose. The length of the life of the sunset clause. How long should the bill remain in force before it expires? How long should you give the police this power to fight gangs? When I agreed with the chief whip to give the sunset clause, he said, stay 5 years. Lo and behold, the opposition said, no. We only want to give the police this power for 18 months. The police would need the time to build the cases against the individuals who are recruiting people into gangs, who are operating gangs.
If this Parliament today agrees with you, because the police, as you've indicated, have given and furnished you with the names, addresses, numbers of gangs and gang leaders, and I'm sure with your consultation, as responsible as you are, would have inquired whether they had the quality and the evidence that is justicable to prosecute them tomorrow. I put that question and I asked the Attorney General if he could tell us that to give me some comfort.
Member, and I think you've hit the nail on the head. The answer to that, in short, is yes. So the short answer is yes, and I assure you, you can be comforted.
The police would need the time to build the cases against the individuals who are recruiting people into gangs, who are operating gangs,
to prosecute them tomorrow.
Answer to that, in short, is yes.
So you see from their own words, the spin doctoring that has been taking place ever since the bill collapsed in the parliament. On the one hand, you're saying you're ready to lock them up tomorrow morning. You're ready to prosecute tomorrow morning. But the Prime Minister is arguing a case in the parliament. We need 4 years for the police to build evidence. So what's going to happen from now till that 4 years? Take the 2 years. Tell us why you did not want this law enforced for the 2 years that the opposition recommended that we will support. Tell us why. Did you scuttle this bill? Did you sabotage your own bill because you wanted to go back out there and say, blame Kamala, blame the UNC, blame the opposition? Their answer to every fault in this country is the blame game. But we're not taking that. We are fighting back. We are UNC and we are proud. We will expose you every step of the way. And so I ask a strong man, DT. Is DT here? Come. I need some help. Bring that box. Just put it down here. Bring the box, DT. Just put it down there for the moment. Thank you. They want this law so badly. This will solve the crime. This will solve the murders. When we ask how many are gang-related, they give us an answer that shows clearly when this law was enforced, it wasn't working. But what about the other laws on the statute books? What about the other laws to fight criminals? Why don't you prosecute them under these laws? Why? So tonight I just want to show you just a few of the law books I picked up. So DT will help me because they're really heavy. Anyone? They're all laws related to the criminal law of Trinidad and Tobago. So here we are, Laws of Trinidad and Tobago, chapters 4 to 6, this whole volume. Hold up that one, DT. Chapters 7 to 9, more dealing with fighting crime. DT, hold all, we have to show all. Pick up the others. Chapters 10 to 12. Pick up the next one. You see, even DT having trouble. So we have tons and tons of law books and laws on our statute books. Right? This one is, ouch, 13 to 17. And look, these are only some of the laws. You talk about one anti-gang bill that you could not compromise your bullheadedness, your stubbornness. You will not compromise and reach consensus with the opposition, and you're crying shame. Blame Kamala, blame opposition, blame David Lee. So look, this is the reality today. DT Kai Hall 4, and look, there are far more. There are 90 chapters of laws in Trinidad and Tobago. And in each one of those chapters, you have several laws. So you'll have chapter 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005. So when you say 90 chapters, each of those, there are others. Not all are to fight crime. I just grabbed these quickly from my shelves as I was leaving home because I wanted, there is nothing, a picture tells 1,000 words, doesn't it? So look at this here. What about these other laws? So DT, thank you. Not only can DT sing, he can also raise up the laws of the land. Give me a round of applause. So here we are on that anti-gang bill. I go forward with a clear conscience. The opposition members who voted against it go forward with a clear conscience. And if anyone is to blame, I will blame Spin Doctor Rowley first and foremost. I saw an interesting thing in the Parliament. A.G. Farris, you may not like him. Some of you may like him. Some of us know he's very loquacious. He talks a lot. But I saw him really try on the day for the vote to try to reach a consensus. But sitting next to him was the bullheaded, stubborn, insulting Prime Minister. I am not doing that. Take it to the vote. Put it to the vote. Vote now. No compromise. You don't work like that. I was a Prime Minister, led a bench in the Parliament. And when we had special majority bills like these, you know you have to consensus, find a consensus, and you have to compromise. So we will have to take some issues, take some recommendations. And that's how, when they stand up and say they supported 96% of our law, I say, great. The reason you did it is because we brought good law to the Parliament. Good law. And I want you to remember that under my government, we were able to bring serious crimes down to the lowest ever in 31 years. Do not ever forget that. So this anti-gang, this weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth all over is not going to help you, Dr. Rowley, Spin Doctor. You need to demonstrate it is not Kamla, it is not the UNC, it is not the opposition. We are not to blame. You are in charge. You stood up in the Parliament and say, we are in charge now. Well, take charge and stop the blame game. I am moving away from this anti-gang because it was not going to help, but we were prepared to give them that support. Gerald would have spoken on it and others. I want to move on to something else that I find very, very worrying. And this has to do with the appointment of a cabinet committee. To do what? To buy the boats for Tobago. You see, when they talk about gangs, they must look amongst themselves and they'll find the gangs right in their own government. And so they're setting up a cabinet-appointed committee to go and do what? Buy a boat. The last time they bought a boat, the MVCU, they named it after the spouse of one of the ministers. You all remember that? How much money did they pay? I think it's about $52 million or more. And the thing never even, it just never, what's the word? Swim. It just never floated. It just never floated. They brought the Cobra Star and the others, same problem. But there are two things I'm going to raise with you on this whole ferry issue, ferry tales, ferry fiasco for the suffering of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and especially the people of Tobago. You really believe Spin Doctor Rowley cares about the people of Tobago? When you see what is happening with this ferry, the inter-island ferry, he can have no care or no heart for the suffering that is going on in Tobago. So, first of all, it is my respectful view that the appointment of a cabinet committee to buy these boats, a boat or whatever boat, is totally unlawful according to the laws of Trinidad and Tobago. The powers of supervision of public expenditure is vested in accounting officers under the law of our land, under the Exchequer and Audit Act. That officer is answerable to the Public Accounts Committee. The Treasury and the Auditor General also have oversight of money to be spent. The President allocates responsibilities for ministries to conduct the business of government, okay? So the President, in accordance with the wishes of the Prime Minister, you are the Minister of Transport, you're the Minister of Works and so on, you have your responsibilities. The executive authority of the state is therefore exercised by ministers in a very defined, publicized manner. There is no doubt that the Cabinet does have executive authority to decide matters of public importance, to decide policy, to arrange itself for that function. Under Section 75 of our Constitution, the Cabinet shall have general control of the government. But that is not the role of the Cabinet, of a committee made up of the Cabinet, to go and buy a boat. That is totally unlawfully exercising power of a Cabinet. That is why you have the Central Tenders Board Act. That is why in all the state enterprises you have a tender process set out in regulations. It is not a Cabinet. And that in itself makes the process so opaque, so lacking in transparency and integrity, because it is so easy for politicians to influence what is happening with that. Now already, Cabo Star, Cobo Star, whatever, Ocean Flower, that already, as Spin Dr. Rowley himself said, was a crooked deal. We already had interference from outside. Some are saying it is ministerial interference. We shall see. And here now, you put ministers directly in charge of buying this boat. What is going to happen? Corruption of the highest order. Corruption of the highest order will result from this. And that is why our law is very careful in providing for a procurement procedure for buying things. Under our cabinet, I don't recall us ever having to put a minister to buy even a paperclip. You cannot buy, you cannot procure. You must do it within the confines of the law. So any subcommittee of cabinet, without a technical input, with no technical capacity, you can then manipulate the specs and requirements to buy anything you want to buy. So for example, you know someone down the road, remember in this scandal, Rushton and Wademark starring as Parliament TV stars in the JSC. When asked, the lady from the port, she was the CEO, Charmaine Lewis, she said, the minister said, look, so-and-so have a boat, go down and check it out. He want 11 or whatever it was, million or 12, but don't worry, we could beat him down. Already sent by somebody, just pick somebody out of a hat and send you. So you can see where they can manipulate it, where I know Mr. John Brown, I don't know him, but someone by the name of John Brown, a minister knows him, the cabinet committee, and they say, go check out John Brown, or go check out Mary, or go check out Leela. They can send you to their friends. And this will be totally unlawful. My team of lawyers, we are looking at this for the unlawful illegal actions on the part of the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, headed by none other than Spin Dr. Rowley. So here we are, but there's another interesting development. I am told that one of the boats now working for the ferry, on the ferry, in the island ferry, that boat is going to dry docking sometime soon. What is going to happen is a vacuum is going to be created. And when that vacuum is created, listen, enter the red and ready, and enter who? Ocean Flower. Ocean Flower too parked up somewhere in our waters, came down here even when they said they canceled the contract, came here, they cleaned it up, they repaired it, I don't know what else they did, and just waiting quietly so that when there's none, they just slip Ocean Flower too and say, look, you all want ferry? Take ferry. So let's warn them, we are watching you. I said we'll expose them tonight. Trinidad and Tobago is watching you, the UNC is watching you, and we will expose your actions every step of the way. So friends all, I have many other things I could speak of tonight. I know in Parliament they've only dealt with the NLCB Bacchanal, and some others talked about something called the Central Bank Act. Now, I'm a little older than the Central Bank Act. The Central Bank Act was passed in 1964. That is about what, 53 years ago. 53 years ago. Since that 53 years ago, the government of Trinidad and Tobago over the years, they have made in total about, I think it's about 20 changing parts of the bill. They have made amendments with subsidiary legislation, so about 20 changes over the 53 years to the Central Bank Act. Do you know up to today, or up to before the day Parliament sat, Section 46(2) has never, ever, ever changed. This government came, the rake and scrape government came, to change Section 46(2) to allow the government to take advances from the central bank, where over the 53 years it was always 15%, a portion of the estimates of annual revenue, recurrent revenue plus capital receipts, to take 15% They came to raise it to 20%. So two things about that first before I go on. This was the same facility. Colin Imbert came in every budget debate. Every time he spoke, he said the partnership government was running on fumes. You all remember that? He said we were running on fumes. He said we had maxed out the overdraft facility. We could never maxed it because we never came to increase it. This Minister of Finance, this government, they are running on fumes and they have maxed out the overdraft. That is why they have come to increase how much they could take in advances. That's the first thing. Unprecedented. Never happened in the history of the Central Bank Act from 1964. That act established the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago and with the powers and so on, functions given to it. Today, under this rake and script government, they are now going to increase the money that you owe. Every one of you in this country, they're going to increase the number of borrowings, the loans, the debt. We have definitely gone down into the valley of the shadow of debt. That's DBT. But we've also gone into the valley of the shadow of death in both ways under this wicked government. And so here we are. He wants more money. You do not know. The second thing that's unprecedented is he never mentioned this in his budget. He told us he was going to sell assets. He told us he was going to raise money, borrow money, everything. He never once mentioned that he was going to take more advances on the overdraft facility. Never said it. Whole budget debate over 2 weeks. Then went to the Senate. Never once. Comes today. It means since October, when that budget was passed, November and piece of December, the man ran out of money already. In a month and a half, 2 months. Wants to go and increase the overdraft. I want to ask you, I think most people, you have a little overdraft. The overdraft is to help you, you have a cash flow problem. It go and you overdraft a little bit, you overdraft. But you know what happens when you overdraft? Your interest rate goes up very high. So when you're overdrafting to pay bills, then you're making more bills, you have more debt to pay. They have no sense and no plan. You ask me what would I do? I ask you to look at what's happening in Ireland. I ask you to look at what's happening in the United States. This government, I say, rake and scrape, tax every single thing. Look at the US, what did they do recently? Look at Ireland, where they want sustained development, where they want growth, where they want an economy to grow and people to get jobs, where they want money to invest and to spend on goods and services needed by a population. What did they do? They dropped the taxes. So we know corporation tax is 35%, I think. They raised it to 35, am I correct? Someone? Huh? From 30 to 35. From 30% to 35. Now you feel corporation tax is not you, you know. Corporation tax, yeah, the 1% will pay it, whatever it is. But you see the small and middle-sized businesses, the pressure will be on you. They will squeeze out small and medium-sized businesses with that 35%. But look at it another way. You want investment, man. Look what's happening in the US already when they lowered their taxes. A big firm like Apple has started to repatriate money back into the US. Why? Because the taxes are lowered. You get more investment. Who will come to invest in Trinidad when you have to pay 35% here, or you could go to the US where you have to pay far less? So look at this. I'm saying, you know what I would have done? And found myself in this position. I will lower the taxes to bring in investment, to have repatriation, and for people to live a better quality of life. But we told you, we warned you, they have no plan. Rodney Charles, I keep telling you, was the seer man. They have no plan. They had no plan. They fooled the people of Trinidad and Tobago. They fooled them red and ready, and now they have betrayed the good people of Trinidad and Tobago. They have betrayed all of the people. And I know now we are going into the Christmas season. Before I wish you Merry Christmas, I have one more video I really would like to share with you, if they could please find it. This is a golf course video I asked for earlier.
Do you see equal defense for the golf course remark?
The golf course remark, again, what is that?
Equipping a woman to a golf course that needs grooming.
It is the element of care and attention that I was pointing to.
Why does a woman need to be a subject of care and attention?
Why?
More than a man.
I've never cared and attended to any man. So I can't.
But you didn't make a reference about a man's personal appearance. You made it about a
No,
woman's.
but you see, it's all well and good for you to say that and make an issue of it. But you know, if you tell a woman she's not looking good, if she asks you how I look, and you say, you look horrible, you will know I would know what trouble I'm in. So I have an understanding, right? And we talk about something being angelic. You know why? Because it looks like an angel.
They're male angels.
I have never.
Why feminize, in other words? Why bring the feminine element into those comments?
It's the first time I've heard gender ascribed to angel, but I'm telling you, I'm saying the word angelic.
In the Christmas season, the angel Gabriel was a male.
Angel Gabriel, she says.
Virtual perfection, right? Art, beauty, grace, power. You know, so if you say, I want an angelic this, it is not that you are converting an angel into something cheap. The way that statement was meant, in saying the grooming of the golf course, and it was not a woman that will turn into a pasture, it is a golf course that will turn into a pasture, if it is not cared for the way you care for a woman.
Okay. So we are in the Christmas season, and the reporter asked the Honorable Prime Minister about angels. He's talking about angels, you see. Out of desperation, he was trying to justify a totally objectionable statement that a lot of people were unhappy with, comparing a woman to a golf course. And then he goes off, and he gets more and more confused and muddled. And then the reporter says, what about the angel Gabriel? So, you know, we're in the Christmas season, and whichever religion you are, we are all happy at Christmas time, and we value the religious teachings that come with Christmas. So I'm thinking, but wait, this man said you don't know about any angel with a gender and so on. But every single angel is who? A male. Gabriel, look, Rodney smiling. Check it, I checked it. Every single one. And I do believe one of those angels who became a fallen angel was Lucifer. So you had Angel Gabriel, you had Archangels Michael and so on, all of them coming down. Every time in the scriptures referred to as a he. It was never a she. I think that has become a Hollywood sensation, that we all see females and so on as angels. Anyway, but there's one, Lucifer, fallen angel. Well, I believe in this P&M lineup, we might find the angel Lucifer waiting. And don't be surprised in the next election, you might have a candidate, Lucifer, polling before the whatever. So Barry just passed me a note. He said something called 2 hours Comedy Central. Several of the clips out of that 2-hour interview Prime Minister did, I think we can put them on Comedy Central for all to see. I close finally on a serious note. You will recall that when I raised the fake oil issue, well, first the Prime Minister accused me of geometry, and then Mr. Baksh and A.V. Drilling, they sued me for defamation. Since then, the government commissioned the Kroll report. So first I had read out the internal audit report of Petrotrin on this fake oil issue. And by the way, I think Munilal might have said it tonight that Mr. Baksh and his son-in-law, they will constitute a gang, so they might be charged, because a gang is what? 2 people. So both of them assaulted media and so on. And I read the findings of that internal report. It raised serious issues of criminal conduct on the part of employees of Petrotrin. It disclosed an intricate, premeditated and calculated plot to defraud Petrotrin of tens of millions of dollars, and Petrotrin also means you, the taxpayers. The Minister of Energy then comes and says, in the Parliament, he's a line minister for Petrotrin, and he says that the findings of the internal audit report was confirmed not only by Kroll, but by also Gaffney, Klein, and Associates. So they have confirmed what I read from the internal report. I made an application under the Freedom of Information Act to get a copy of that Kroll report, because it confirms and it is in fact our defense that we were justified. It was the truth of what we raised, and they have not responded to give us the report. So I've now instructed my lawyers, and they have written to Petrotrin a pre-action letter to get us the Crow report, and if they fail so to do, we will go to court to take Petrotrin and to make that report public. And that report is very important, not just for me, but in the public interest for us to know what exactly went on and how you as taxpayers, how you were defrauded of millions and millions and millions of dollars. And these people are so bold-faced that the PNM candidate who fought me twice, there's reason enough not to like him, but that's not my point tonight. Fought me twice in Superior as a PNM candidate. That person remains working at Petrotrin. Jillian raised it. Remains as an employee of Petrotrin, even when they removed him from the Labidco board when this issue arose. He facilitated this entire fraud. And you still have him. He went away for a few weeks. We don't know if he got official leave to go on vacation. He went away. Come back. They put him in one department, I'm told, and the people there started to protest. They moved him, they came in our next office and started to protest until all inside Petrotrin, they are protesting. Tonight I say, we are protesting. He should be removed from the compound of Petrotrin now, at this time. So friends all, I think this is our last meeting. We think it's our last meeting unless other things arise that we need to speak to you about. And therefore, I take this opportunity to wish you all a very holy, a very blessed Christmas season. And indeed, we will meet before the New Year, because I'm inviting all UNC members to join us at the Fun Splash, save the date, the 30th of December, to the UNC end of year cooler fete. Bring your eats and drinks, join with us on the 30th. God bless you, and I thank you very much. So I ask you not to leave. I ask you not to leave, because we have a very important exercise to conduct. I want to thank all those of you who supported us in the internal election. All of you worked, all of you came out. And tonight, who is doing it? Our General Secretary will declare officially the results of the NATEX election.
A round of applause for our political leader, the best Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, and the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. There's a quick announcement, Mr. Ramnanan Samaru, your DP and your bank card is with us. Please come backstage to collect. At this time, I want you to welcome with a resounding round of applause and a DEBE welcome, a UNC family welcome, the General Secretary, Davendranath Tanku.
UNC family, good night. It is one of the most difficult things I think it is to follow someone as vibrant and as powerful as our political leader. Political leader, members of the head tables, my brothers and sisters all. It is my honor tonight to address you for a brief period. It seems that having just finished law, every time I come to speak now, I speak about the UNC Constitution. Tonight is no exception. Article 12 and 13 of the UNC Constitution provides that the National Assembly of the party shall consist of financial members of the party and will vote for members of the National Executive who will represent them. On Sunday, November 26, 2017, you, the Assembly, voted at 77 stations throughout the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago. On behalf of the UNC, I want to thank you all very much for participating. In all, there were 13 uncontested positions and 5 contested positions. The posts for the Women's Arm and Youth Arm will be elected by separate Congress in the new year. I am pleased to announce the results of those elections. There were 20,434 votes counted. I will read first the positions that were uncontested before I go to the contested positions. I would like the members of the National Executive to please rise We will be swearing you in immediately afterwards, so if you could join us on stage as I call your names, please. Deputy political leaders, uncontested positions, deputy political leaders, Khadija Amin, Jerlene John, and Dr. David Anthony Lee. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, you are deputy political leaders of the United National Congress. The position of chairman was uncontested except for one gentleman. His name is Peter Marshall Kanhai. Ladies and gentlemen, Peter Marshall Kanhai, you are chairman. Elections officer, Mr. Don Sylvester. Policy and strategy officer, the Honorable Mr. Arnold Ram. For research officer, we have the legendary, the hardworking, the principled, disciplined, Dr. Carleen Suku. Please welcome Carleen Suku with a round of applause. In the position of treasurer, we have the Honorable Dr. Rai Ragberry. Here we are, Dr. Rai Ragberry. For the position of international relations officer, returning Mr. Wilfred Nicholas Morris, your Central Regional Coordinator, returning again to serve you, the Honorable Imam Rashid Karim. Here in South, you all are very familiar with your South representative. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to serve you for another term, Ms. Shanti Budram. The last uncontested position, the position that was contested only by one person. Nobody went up against him. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to announce that once again, Tobago will be served by Mr. Bimal Ramlogan. Contested positions now, ladies and gentlemen. For the Northeast Regional Representative, there were two contestants, two combatants. Mr. Naidu Powder received 998 votes. Mr. Brian Big received 16,965 votes. Ladies and gentlemen, your Northeast Regional Representative, Mr. Brian Big. There were three combatants for Northwest Regional Representatives. Mr. Ralph Henry, he received 247 votes. Mr. Brian Gregory Stone, he received 424 votes. Mr. Eli Zakul, he received 17,374 votes. Ladies and gentlemen, your Northwest Regional Representative, Mr. Eli Zakul. Ladies and gentlemen, we are continuing. There was one other position that was not contested, and I want to welcome him on stage now. Serving you again as your vice chairman, ladies and gentlemen. As your vice chairman. As your vice chairman, ladies and gentlemen. His Excellency, the Honorable Clifton de Coteau. He received 100% of the votes because nobody was brave enough to contest against him. For the position of party organizer, there were two combatants. Mr. Krishna Bahadur Singh received 534 votes. Returning as your party organizer, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ravi Ratiram with 16,833 votes. For the position of education officer, there were two persons contesting that position. Ms. Dala Nelson Seals, she received 303 votes. And winning with 17,509 votes was Ms. Maria Margarita Rodriguez. Put your hands together for our new education officer. And ladies and gentlemen, I have saved the best for last. The absolute best. There were 3 combatants, as you all know, for the position of political leader. Mr. Chanda Bagan received 40 votes. Mrs. Christine Niwali Hussain received 112 votes. Ladies and gentlemen, make some space, make some noise for the return of your political leader receiving 20,321 votes, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa.
Yeah.
Your national
UNC, make some noise! Make some noise, UNC, make some noise!
One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright.
One more order of business. I am now going to ask these newly elected members of the National Executive to stand for their oath of office. Members of the Executive, please raise your right hands and repeat after me, please. I solemnly pledge to uphold the party constitution, the rules and policies of the United National Congress, to strive my best to maintain the dignity of the United National Congress, to carry about myself and conduct all business in such a manner to bring pride to my party and in furtherance of the goals and objectives of the United National Congress. Now in another place I would say by the power invested in me. And in this case, by the powers invested in me as your General Secretary by you, please give a round of applause to your newly inducted members of the National Executive. I hand you over now. Can I get some assistance to move this so that we can continue with the entertainment?
Yeah. One love,
make some noise!
one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, UNC say, one love, Kamla say to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Let as our leader, it will be alright. Let them all pass all their dirty remarks. There is one question I'd really love to ask. Is there a place for the hopeless sinners who has hurt all mankind just to save his own beliefs? One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, UNC say, one heart, Kamla says to the Lord, and I will feel alright. With Kamla as our leader, it will be alright. Hey! Let's get together to fight this holy Armageddon. So when Kamla comes, there will be no doom. Have pity on those whose chances grow thinner. There ain't no hiding place from the Father of creation. One love, one heart.